crossing the United States to his native South Africa. Nolan continues to push barriers and inspire people to inspire themselves. And you could be next. Join Nolan's 7-day online groundbreaking program called Obstacles Make Me Stronger, aimed at teaching you how to overcome any obstacles you may face, break barriers, be innovative, and take control of your life. For more information, check out Obstacles Make Me Stronger, now on Udemy.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Inspirational Journeys Through Life with Straight Talk with Nolan. My name is Nolan Pillay, and I'm your host for today. And it's our pleasure and honor to welcome Lady JB Owen to our show. Now, Lady JB Owen is a fearless female leader who believes in the power of empowerment. Her true focus is on helping others, which is why she started Ignite Publishing, the leader in empowerment publishing. In 2019, she is also a world-class speaker, 20-time, hear this, 20-time best-selling author and powerful business owner. She is committed to raising the vibration of the planet and igniting the lives of every person on our beautiful planet. She is motivated by the opportunity to assist individuals in breaking through their limiting beliefs to experience their own Ignite moment, which changes their perspective and positively alters the course of their life. She was also knighted by the Royal Order of Constantine the Great and St. Helen as Lady JB Owen for her entrepreneurial and philanthropic endeavors. JB has published over 700 Ignite moments, turning them into international bestsellers in over 13 countries, with Ignite Publishing's book reaching number one in 205 categories. Her gift is to ignite people to share their story and build their brand. She also owns Ignite Moments Media, JBO Global Inc., and Lotus Liners. All are trademarked as well, combining purpose, passion, and possibilities in everything she does. JB motivates and inspires her clients to impact others and ignite humanity by exemplifying a new paradigm of what's possible. Lady JB, once again, welcome to Inspirational Journey.
I got to shorten that bio.
It's beautiful, but in fact, that was one of the many that I had, and I just love the message that came through in this. So
thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. It's a pleasure to be here. An honor to speak with your amazing audience and just spend some time with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. It's our honor and privilege. So let's get directly into it. Tell us a bit more about yourself, because I'm sure you just didn't, Ignite Moments just did not start. There had to be some trigger or some kind of calling that happened along the way that got you onto this journey. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm like everyone else. I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife. I've been married more than once. I've gone through divorce. I have 2 kids of my own. I have 2 beautiful stepkids. I've had the journey that many of us had, single mom at times, lost a business, had to struggle and pull myself out of my own conundrums. But through it all, I've really learned that many times our greatest challenges are our greatest gifts, and the things that we are faced with that sometimes feel like a difficult time actually become a silver lining, and what I like to call an ignite moment that really sort of transforms us and awakens us to the better version of ourselves.
Wow, love that. Now I know you're a heart-centered person, right? I see the work that you've done. You're very heart-centered when it comes to publishing as well. What's your vision for Ignite Publishing and Ignite Moments?
Well, it's interesting how so much of our media and so much of the things that we're sharing really are negative. And I remember being at a conference a few years ago, and there was a gentleman up on stage talking about a very difficult time in his life. He ended up starting to cry a little bit on stage. And what I was fascinated to notice is everyone was leaning in, everyone was captivated, everybody was listening. People were really transfixed by his story and his awareness of his story and his vulnerability. Even so much so that when he finished his speech and got off the stage, a few people in the front row got up and hugged him, and he became like sort of this beacon for the rest of the conference because he was gone so deep and was so genuine and honest. And I sat there kind of thinking, like, you know what? What if we all could be this genuine? What if we could all share this authentic, honest side of ourselves and not become the victim of our story? Because the best part of him sharing was he he told how he pulled himself out of it. He told what he learned from it. He told how he'd become a better person. Now, he didn't say he was perfect and he figured it all out. He just said that that moment helped him get on a new trajectory for his life. And I thought we need to do that more. We need to tell more of those stories. We need to share more of those vulnerable moments. And we need to show people being heroes of their lives, not victims and of their circumstance. And so that really was the birth of Ignite.
Wow. So it's mainly to share these inspirational stories. And, a lot of people have stories out there, such fantastic stories, but not many of them are willing to share it, firstly. And there's no platforms for them to come out like Ignite platforms to actually tell their stories so the world can resonate with it as well.
Right. I mean, media loves a scandal. Media loves a tragedy. Media loves, something that is devastating and difficult. And the truth is, I feel our brains don't need to know all that. Our brains really, like, we have to be so precious with our mind. I'm very conscious of the television that I watch, the movies that I see, the podcasts that I listen to, because I don't want to fill my mind with ideas and suggestions and negative, I call them neginims, the neginim of the world. I want the posinim. I want people to see that it is possible. They are capable. It is doable. It is fun. It is enjoyable. And that really is the essence of an Ignite story, helping the reader feel like if I can do it, they can do it too.
No, absolutely. So I must let the audience know at this point as well. I've recently written a chapter into Ignite Your Faith with Lady JB, and it was such a privilege to write a chapter in there as well. And just by joining hands with other authors, you realize how many of our stories are alike, yet in so many different ways. But the point is, each story is so heartwarming, and it shows that we all have these mountains to climb. We have our beautiful journeys, and now when you open up a space like this and say, let's get all these authors together and write, we each write a chapter about a story in our life. That's absolutely amazing. It's getting it out to
And it
people.
really, yeah, sorry, it really lends it to the human condition because it doesn't matter if I'm a woman and you're a man, if I live in Canada and you live in South Africa. It doesn't matter the color of our skin, how much money we have in our wallet, what our background is. The experience of perseverance and dedication and commitment and overcoming, every single person on the planet can relate to that as a human experience. And so Ignite stories really transcend what we consider to be our differences and really comes down to the common denominator about what makes us so connected with one another, because we all are the same. We all have red blood and we all are similar. So those stories really layer in the fact that we are very, very much the same, and that journey that we go through is inspiring to each and every one of us.
I love that human experience, right? Because a lot of people are so caught up in what race you are, what sex you are, what religion you are, and that's the heart of so many problems. Because people get kind of divided or separated just by thinking along those lines, and they really forget that if you look at it at the end of the day, we are one. We're the human race, right? So why should we be fighting against each other when we can understand each other better? Like you rightfully pointed out, you in Canada, I'm in South Africa, yet our stories are so intertwined and so linked in some way because it's this connection of oneness that we have.
I think it's so important because when you read a story, you don't necessarily know everything about the character. You don't know what their last name is. You don't know what what kind of car they have in their garage. You don't really know what high school they went to. So none of that really seems as important. You start to read the story as, they overcame a challenge, they lost a child, they were cheated on, they attempted suicide, they had a death in their lives, they were assaulted, or even, Ignite moments don't have to be so tragic. We've had many books where we've written Ignite happiness and Ignite adventure, where people have talked about overcoming obstacles and getting off a plane with only $4 in their pocket, or climbing to the top of Kilimanjaro. So there are these moments that it's about the story, it's about the process, and it doesn't matter what a person looks like or anything like that. So then you identify with them. We always say in our community, like, authors, they just love each other because they love each other's story, and they don't really care what each other's last name is or anything like that, or where they're from or any of that. It seems irrelevant. I even have done many book launches where authors have come together and they love somebody's story, and then they meet them and they're like, I had no idea, I pictured you differently because I just read your story. And there's no judgment. They just are in depth into the experience versus what we, put as importance through our eyes of how we judge people or make opinions of people.
Yeah, true. You're right. And that's a human condition that a lot of people need to just change the way they think and the way that they actually look at the world. Because when we start looking at things differently, we're obviously going to react differently to each other. I always like to teach that, especially when it comes to race issues, I always say if we can understand each other's religion, race, sex, culture, we will get on so much more better with each other and we won't have this infighting that we have. I mean, it's all over the show. You even find it in the parliaments of this world as well, right? If it's
Yes.
different groups of people or different parties, there's always a fight. Nobody's thinking that can't we work together hand in hand for a common cause, which is making the world a better world. They don't really think in
Hmm.
that way.
Right. And, in some ways also we're subjected to our own hormones, our cortisol, our adrenaline. So when we watch the news and we see devastation and terror and horror and suspicion and worry and disaster, all of that in our body is actually physiologically happening to us. When we read stories about peace and harmony, about perseverance and dedication, about love and connection, that too creates a hormonal experience in us, and it changes the way we see things on on a cellular level. And so I'm very committed to sharing Ignite Moments because I know fundamentally that it's affecting people in a way that they don't even realize. Their brain is starting to have a different chemical reaction than what they're doing when they're than they're reading something that's disastrous. And I'm a huge proponent of, like, there'll be times where I'll be watching a movie or reading something. I'm like, oh, close that book. Oh, turn that off. Like, it's just not healthy for my brain. I don't want my body to be feeling like that, because if you are always in fight or flight, and if you're always putting your body through that stress response, it's very difficult for us to live in the greatest version of ourselves, because we're always trying to calm our nervous system. So, huge proponent of how do we read content, read things that are really empowering us. And that's where the Leaders of Empowerment Publishing really came to be for me.
Wow. We need this to grow really massively, right? Because if you look at the media out there, there's so much of negative media, and people tend to hop onto that bandwagon and just follow negative memes or negative comments and negative posts all the time, and they start belittling each other. So we need more of the Ignite moments in there for sure, no doubt. I was looking at your profile and I just wondered because Lady JB Owen, it's such a privilege to have that as your title. How did the knighting come about? How did it really?
Well, thank you so much. I've been so blessed. I was nominated with about 2,200 other people that were nominated through the Royal Order. They are expanding their ambassadors around the world to create a better version and a more, I tell people this before the knighting ceremony. We met and we went through the protocol of, what is a knight and a duchess and a vicomte and all the lords and like all the different hierarchies. But we also went through, what are the qualities and values of somebody who is knighted? And I took it very, very seriously that to have the privilege of having a knighted title made me realize that it was important for me to start living even a better version of myself and to do more things to help others. And I did lose my business early on in my career because I was very, what I like to call, like, self-centric, self-focused. And losing that business was definitely an Ignite moment because it taught me that the most important thing that I can do in business is create a triple win. So I win, you win, the client wins, the customers wins, the customers wins, the children at home win, the community wins. And so I love this idea of 3x and 4x. And so my whole life I've been trying to create this this idea of how can we help one another, how can we support one another, and that has led me to be building schools and igniting literacy around the globe. It's helping me do all kinds of philanthropic endeavors. And then my name was put to with a group of peers, and I was vetted, and then ideally I was chosen to be one of there was, I think, 22 of us at our ceremony, 12 women, or 12 men and 8 women. So yeah, it was really, I think, 14 men. Yeah, I can't remember. I have to be honest. It was such an amazing night that I was like, kind of, a lot of it was a blur. When the prince like puts the sword on your shoulder and he says, "Rise, Lady JB, and do your duty for humanity," I was like, "Oh."
Gosh, that's amazing. I'm sure there were lots of tears as well.
It really was. I mean, it was such a moment, and I think we're all, predestined, obviously, for our destiny. I've Ever since I was little, I've always loved protocol. I've always loved etiquette. I've always, people have accused me of being a bit square and a little bit prudish, but I just really love living the best version of me and being an example for others. And so becoming a lady and being called to do more to help humanity, I was truly honored, and I felt like I have been, living my whole life to this moment.
Wow, you are blessed. You're surely blessed. And all started off with just you having those ignite moments within yourself, and you took action towards it. You reacted towards it, and that's got you to the phenomenal person that you are today as well. You mentioned a bit about building schools throughout the world as well. Nobody just wakes up one morning and decides, I'm going to build a school in a certain place. You've been doing this obviously for a few years now, I would think. And you're calling it Ignite Possibilities School of Hope.
Yes.
How did that come about? And how many schools do you have already?
Well, a few years ago, we were doing a book called Ignite Possibilities, and many of the authors were writing possibility stories. And interestingly, it was during COVID. So, COVID was really an amazing time because many people were home, many people were going through Ignite moments, and we had the ability to be together virtually. So, it was a really, really special time. I remember some of the first months of the calls when everybody was in lockdown and they were so scared and so worried and so unsure what the future held. And these mastermind meetings that we had every week with the Ignite authors was really a lifeline for so many people. The Ignite Possibilities book was really important to me because I actually watched my kids, and I have teenagers, and they were all home from school. And I saw them really suffering from COVID. What's the point of my future? What am I even going to do? Like, how am I even going to graduate? What jobs are even available? Why even try? I mean, they really were in the very beginnings of COVID, really suffering mentally from, what was possible for them. And I became obsessed with this idea that we have to be teaching each other what's possible. We have to be not focused on what we can't do, but what we can do. And that teaching people what's possible actually is a very important life skill and is in a very important curriculum that we should be doing more and more of. Kids around the world need to know what's possible for them. And of course, that led me to think of all the children who aren't in schools or don't have access to education or don't have access to tools or books, and of course, don't know how to read. How can they live their greatest version of themselves if they don't have that access that potentially first world country kids do? And so I realize every child should have this, be living in the center of what's possible. In fact, Nolan, I sometimes say, can you imagine what the world would be like if we were all living in the center of
Oh,
what's
wow.
possible for us? We wouldn't be jealous. We wouldn't be competitive. We wouldn't be hurting each other. We wouldn't be trying to knock each other down. We wouldn't be bashing each other on social media. If you got to do what's possible for you and I got to do what's possible for me and all of us could do what's possible for each other, I truly believe that the world would be such an incredible place.
Yeah.
And so as a publisher, I suddenly felt this big obligation to give back, not just talk about it, but do something about it. And so I felt like, literacy is a valuable, major, important skill. If a child can read and feels the confidence and the ability to read, you and I both know books are a plethora of exploration and opportunity and inspiration. And so many children deserve to read the books that inspire them to go after their dreams. And that really was the beginning of making sure that I could take all the proceeds that we gain from our online sales and put them into our school projects.
Wow, that is so beautiful. And so well that, to the audience that's listening in today as well, you know, this is what heart centered means, where you'll do whatever it takes to help build other humans and see the smile on their faces as well. And that's exactly what JB does. I mean, she doesn't need to go and build schools in another country. She's in Canada, but she's still going to other countries because she sees the value of helping others to do better with their lives as well. And she's not coming from a place of a scarcity mindset either. She knows there's an abundance in this world for every single one of us. And the moment we start understanding this, then we will realize that we don't need to compete with each other. The only competition you should have is yourself. And that's allowing you to be a better person all the time. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and I really thank you. And I really see it as empowerment. Like for me, the children are not victims, they're not needy, they're not disempowered. I feel the opposite. I feel if we can give kids an opportunity to read and play and learn and expand their mind, we empower them so much. And just because they live in a country that has a different economic standard, it doesn't mean that their minds are any less intriguing and amazing and intelligent. I even tell people I have a dream, I have a vision. One day, one of the students from one of the schools that I build will be a Nobel Peace Prize winner. I actually feel like I must build these schools because there are children that will go to these schools that will change policies, that will be in politics, that will save lives, that will invent things, that will create a change on the planet in this massive ripple effect. And I need to be the person to help give them the school, the building, the arena for them to like leapfrog into what is possible for them. And so I just have every belief possible that these children are going to take what they learn and parlay that into something magnificent because somebody believed in them. And really, so much of what we're doing and talking about is the knowing that we believe in ourselves, and we believe in ourselves because somebody stepped forth and showed us that they believed in us also. And I think that really creates a ripple effect through many of the storytelling and obviously the schools and the other philanthropic things that I love to do.
No, absolutely. These kids are looking for a lifeline as well. If you look at the conditions that they live in, they've got so much of potential and they are our future anyway. We need them. So why not build them as well? So Lady JB, how do people get to contribute towards your schools?
Yeah, well, we have partnered with a beautiful organization called Classroom of Hope, and you can go to classroomofhope.org and you can see all our projects, or you can go to our own website, ignitehumanity.life/donate. The neat thing is, the Classroom of Hope actually does a second win-win, the triple win. They actually pull plastic out of the landfills in the local areas and transform that plastic into these amazing eco-friendly blocks. And I just find this amazing because many third world countries are dealing with an influx of litter and garbage and plastic. And so Classroom of Hope actually creates these beautiful earthquake-proof, flood-proof bricks made from plastic that they use to build the schools. And it's fascinating. They were sharing with me, it used to take them about 5 months to build a school. Now they can build a school in 11 days. And Nolan, when they told me they could build a school in 11 days, I was like, okay, 365 days divided by 11, we could build a school like every 11 days. And so I got really, really excited that this was so possible and so easy. And, there's so many children out there who need to have classrooms. And so they can go to classroomofhope.org or go to our website, ignitehumanity.life, and find out more.
Oh no, great. And I will share the link at the end of the podcast as well. It will be in the description so you can easily get onto it. I like that you said when you broke it down, every 11 days to build a school. So that's like 24 schools in a year. Imagine,
Right. I mean, it's amazing.
yeah. Imagine if we can get all of the so-called leaders to start thinking the way you're thinking, the way that we all are thinking, how much more beautiful this world would be, how many more people we would start teaching how to fish, right? Rather than just allowing
Exactly.
them to just go through life. Wow, beautiful.
And Classroom of Hope has been really wonderful to work with because I went to them a couple of months ago and I said, "Can we build homes? Can we build homes of hope?" And they were like, "Yeah, let us think about that, and we'll get back to you." And about 3 months later, they sent me a video building their first home of hope, and it was a single bedroom home, but it took them 2 days to build it, and that home gave an entire family within 2 days a place of security and safety and shelter and an environment where they could build a life. And I just feel like, hello, We all should be doing that. We all have an extra few dollars. $1 buys a brick. So can you imagine, $12 can buy 12 bricks, $20 buys 20 bricks. And even during Valentine's Day, we were saying to people, like, instead of spending $100 on a bouquet of flowers, what if you spend $100 and bought 100 bricks? I mean, that is really going to make an impact.
True, true. And that just shows anything is possible as well, because from the schools now we're going into the homes as well, which is so well needed. So well done on that. Really,
It's
really great
true.
job.
Thank you. And you know that children are also great teachers. And I know that when children are learning in schools, they're taking some of that back home and they're also being reflective teachers to their parents. And that just helps raise up the entire community. So I'm a big proponent of children, being our greatest teachers. I'm so blessed to have 4 of my own kids, and every day they teach me something.
Wow. Yes, of course, we have to learn from them. We just have to be awoke to get those answers from them or those signals from them as well. And, while we're talking about schools as well, I know recently you lost somebody who was an amazing part of the Ignite, your company, basically, Dania Zafar. Tragically, we lost her as well. But now you've actually turned that into a moment where you're saying, okay, let's do something in her honor. Can you tell us a
Mm,
bit more about that? What you actually
yes.
do?
Thank you so much. Danya worked for us for about 4 years. And then one Friday, she just didn't show up to work, and we were sort of confused. And then Saturday and Sunday went by, and Monday, she also didn't show up for work. So I had one of my team members start looking for her online, as with the police stations and calling the hospitals. And we ended up finding out that she was technically missing. Her parents had said she was missing. She ended up dying in a fire in Montreal, and it was a huge blow to the community, to us, to all of our authors, to me personally. I worked with her for 4 years. She was literally the person who could read my mind and just take my vision to the next level. And I was deeply saddened by her loss. And I remember my mom coming over one day, and I was crying, and she said, "Look, this is not about you. Don't make this about you. This affects you and this hurts you, but this is about Danya. How can you do what you're good at to keep Danya's memory alive, to honor Danya, and to do exactly what you do as a legacy builder? How can you create a legacy for her?" And Danya was from Pakistan. And of course, the universe is so perfect. A few months prior, Classroom of Hope had reached out to me to ask me if I would be interested in building a school in Pakistan. Well, we're currently building a school in Indonesia. We're slotted to build a school in India. So I wasn't quite ready to build a school in Pakistan until, of course, we lost Danya. She's from Pakistan. So I immediately reached out to Classroom of Hope and said, I will absolutely do whatever we can to build a school. And what was so important to me was her parents. How can we honor her parents with a place to go and remember her and see her beauty and her creativity alive in these children, and these children that now have a place to go to school and freedom to be creative. Danya was a graphic designer. So in many ways, her loss, as hurtful and as sad as it is, has turned into this very beautiful opportunity for all of us to come together, for all of us to honor her, honor each other, honor our families. I have a vision of taking all my team to Pakistan to help build the school and having like a really wonderful bonding experience for them. Because you and I both know, Nolan, that life is short. We don't know. Danya was 31 years old and just at the wrong place at the wrong time on the wrong evening. And it makes us all really understand that we can be responsible to support others in making sure that the best versions of ourselves uplift as many people as possible around us. And my goal and hope is that we can do that with her school. And so, yes, people can go to danyasafarmemorial.com and add to her school, and or just send beautiful blessings to her family that is suffering right now through grieving, and to the Ignite community, who I want to say thank you to publicly. People showed up with cards and flowers and poems and so many beautiful gestures. That really shows you the spirit of humanity.
Wow. JB, your heart is so massive, hey? It's so massive. You're just not only thinking about yourself, you're thinking about Danya's parents, because, you're making a place where they can go and just think,
Yes.
you know what? The school was built in honor of our daughter. How beautiful is that? Oh, wow. Can we get more of you, please? Can we clone you?
Absolutely. As anytime you want. I can't wait to come visit you and just be in your essence and presence also.
We're looking forward to that. So on that note as well, so JB and her husband Peter, are going to be climbing Mount Kilimanjaro with us next year. And they also do a cycle tour, a summer cycle tour. And you've started that up already this week, I think, right?
Yeah, we started our spring training despite the snow in Canada. So my husband and I have been during COVID again. This whole idea of possibilities really struck a chord in me. I had gained about 16 pounds, being sheltering in. I just turned 50, and I was, just sort of angry at this feeling like, what do you mean I can't, live my life to the fullest? And so my husband and I took our tandem bike off of the, hook on our garage and decided to cycle across Canada to the Parliament buildings. And this is a really interesting story because originally we were going to cycle to Halifax, which is the farthest eastern coastline. And when we got to the border of New Brunswick, the police wouldn't let us cross the border because of the Atlantic bubble for the COVID. And so we literally were like, what? We were cycling across Canada and you're going to stop us and we can't keep going? And they were like, no, you have to turn around and go back. And, for a brief moment, I was shocked, upset, mad, angry. And then I said to Peter, okay, plan B, let's pivot. What are we going to do next? We sat down in the motorhome. We laid out the map. We're like, okay, where do we go now? And I said, you know what? Let's go to Ottawa. Let's go to the Parliament buildings. Let's cycle and loop all the way back around and we'll go to the Parliament Hill and we'll see Parliament Hill. Well, the fascinating thing is, the day we arrived at Parliament Hill was the first time ever in history that they had an open microphone on Parliament Hill. And so we cycled into Parliament Hill up to Centennial Flame. All these people were there. These big speakers were outside, this microphone, and they were inviting anyone in the crowd who wanted to come up and speak to say something. Well, I threw my hand up. My kids were with us because they were in the follow vehicle. They're like, Mom, please, no, don't do it. I ran up on stage in my cycle gear with my little cycle shoes on and my helmet. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, I just cycled across Canada to show people what's possible. And everyone was screaming and cheering. And I was like, you know what? You can do anything. You have a dream. Just go do it. And it was so amazing because I reflect upon when I was in grade 4, I told my social studies teacher that one day I was going to speak at Parliament. And you know what she said to me? She said, not with those grades, you're not. And, she totally doused me. And I just want to say, that was the universe making it all unfold. If I wouldn't have cycled to there, to have to turn around, to come back, what are the chances of that very day? I could have got there a day before, a day after. I could have got there at 10 in the morning instead of 2 in the afternoon. God made me there at that exact moment so I could stand there on that microphone and fulfill a dream that I had when I was in grade 4. And that is the power of what's possible. We don't know the timeline. We just have to believe that it's for us. If we want it, it's for us and it wants us.
No, true. You just got to love the universe as well. And I hope the teacher was watching or listening at least. It's funny you say that. It's so often that our teachers always underestimate us. And
Yes.
I mean, I was told when I was in school that I'll be a nobody. And now the very same teacher follows me on social media. So the good thing is he's following me and he's learning from me as well, because I can learn a lot from him and, his experience as well.
I've had a similar experience. One of my English teachers, actually in grade 9, actually was working for Ignite for a while, helping us with our editing. And it was so fascinating because, he was my grade 9 English teacher and he was really super inspiring, and then came to work at Ignite. And it was just this beautiful full circle feeling.
Beautiful. I just love it. We are running out of time now as well, but there's another inspiring story that I watched you do. I think about 3 weeks ago. You came back 3 weeks ago from India and you went out to visit the Dalai Lama. Tell us a bit about that experience, because we all dream about that time of going there and just being in his presence.
Yeah, it was really, really beautiful. And I wanted to say thank you. This is my second time meeting His Holiness, and it was really beautiful to go to India. And, I said this morning on my TV show, you got to show up. If you want to really do your life to your biggest, wildest dreams, you got to show up and you got to put in the effort and you got to get on the plane and you got to pack the bags and you got to push through the cold and whatever that is. Even us cycling, is snowing out and we're still on our bike. Meeting His Holiness just reminded me, and he shared, I was just the magnet that brought you to India, your goal. And I went there because one of my initiatives is to ignite humanity. And I thought, who else on the planet is igniting humanity more than His Holiness? And when I wanted to ask him, it was interesting. The morning before I met him just recently, I was like, I'm going to ask His Holiness, what is going to ignite humanity? And I felt like he was going to say compassion and love and empathy, like all the things that he talks about. And he said to me, go, you doing the work. Like I was like, what's going to ignite humanity? And he said, you doing the work, go do the work. And so for many of us, we have a dream, we have a desire, we have an aspiration, and we want somebody else to do it for us. We want somebody else to figure it out. We want to farm it out. And the truth is, if you really want anything in life, write a book, cycle across Canada, travel to India, you need to do the work. You need to be the one to put in the effort. You need to be the one to figure it out, climb over that broken glass, go through those hurdles, overcome those obstacles, because in doing that, you grow the muscle, you work the exercise, you learn the new things that you need to learn to become that person. I always say you got to be it to become it. So if you have a dream, Lady Gaga showed up as Lady Gaga, Madonna showed up as Madonna, like all of those athletes, Ice-T and Popcorn and like everyone, they showed up as that. The moment Muhammad Ali, they knew that that is who they are, and they started being it to become it.
Wow. And that's so well said as well, because if you don't take action towards anything in life, you're just going to stay stagnant. You're not going to move even forward. And if you just think about it simply, if you sit on the couch the whole day and Netflix, etc., and don't take a step forward, what's going to happen to you? You're allowing your body just to stay like this. And it's like you got no life. Don't just live this life to die eventually. Live your life with purpose and go out there and do something. Take some action towards it. Lady JB.
Yeah, and here's a great, may I just give you one last analogy? An archer is always an archer, even if he doesn't hit the bullseye. So an archer who pulls back the arrow and shoots for the target, he's still an archer, even if he doesn't hit the center. And I want us all to realize that you are exactly what you dream of. You don't have to hit the center every single time. Go for it, do it, go after it, and it will become yours.
Keep trying, right? Just don't stop. I mean, with the light bulb, it took so many different light bulbs, 10,000 or so that Edison had to go through. But eventually, without those light bulbs, we would not have light today as well. But just don't give up. Just keep going as well. So, once again, it's such an honor to have you on our show. I'm so grateful that now we have Lady JB Owen on our show as well. I'm so honored to have you. Thank you so much to all the listeners for listening to our show. Please don't forget to go in and like or comment. The handle is Straight Talk with Nolan. You'll find us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, etc. And Lady JB, any last tips or last words of wisdom for the audience? And also, if they want to get hold of you like now, what's the best way to get hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to igniteyou.life and you can reach out to me there. I'm super accessible on Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram. I like to make myself accessible to people. So please reach out. If you've got a story to tell, let me help you share that story, because if inside of you have a desire to tell your story and write your story, that means that somebody desperately needs to hear it. Somebody needs to hear exactly what you have to share, because you are going to be the person to help them move forward in their own experience. And so I just leave you with this. If you want it, it wants you. If you want to do it, go after it. If you believe in yourself, everyone else will believe in you also. So believe in you, believe in your vision, believe in your dream, and it will definitely unfold for you in magical and amazing ways.
Wow. Those are amazing words. Believe in your dream and just go after it as well. Just don't sit back and be content with what you have as well. So thank you so much. It's really been a privilege. I'm grateful to you, and I look forward to being in your company and just spending time with you and just thinking about what can we do more? What can we do next as well? So I'm grateful. Thank you once again, Lady JB. It's really been an honor. I wish everyone a good evening, a good afternoon, or a good morning wherever you are in the world. Thank you for listening to Inspirational Journeys Through Life with Straight Talk with Nolan. Cheers for now.